I failed 8 classes when I was in law school. By the time it was my last semester, I ended up getting 3 HCs. And I'm going to share with you how I took my notes in law school step by step I'm going to focus more on how I did my notes from when I did my readings to when I did my lectures to when I did my classes and then ultimately creating the exam notes. This is another episode of Law and Law School Unpacked and Unfiltered. I either unpack or unfilter something in law, and today I'm going to unpack. First things first, if you are able to have access to them, the first thing that you're going to do is actually review the lecture slides. The reason for this is because it will provide you with some context and help you know what you're getting into by the time you do your readings. You know, in law school, we have a lot of pages of reading. I remember before doing this little technique, it was so hard to keep my attention to try to read all of those pages. It did make a difference when I reviewed the lecture slides ahead of time. When I did start to read, I actually knew exactly what to look for, what I'm reading in general. Sometimes they don't provide lecture slides ahead of time, but that's okay. My backup technique is called the pre-reading technique. I've done a video on this before, but basically, pre-reading is read the headings, the first 2 sentences and last sentences of each paragraph. You read the key terms and definitions, and then you read the examples. And reading all of those gives you enough context and enough knowing what you're getting into for the whole thing, for the entire pages of readings. My preferred option is, my go-to option is the lecture slides first, but this is my backup plan, which is still good. Lecture slides, your pre-reading, and then you do your readings and then watch the lecture. The mistake that we sometimes all make in the beginning of university in general is you treating lectures like, you know, like a transcript, like writing a transcript, like writing down everything that they're saying, which is not how you're supposed to do it. How I started doing it in later recent years of law school that helped me out a lot is using the lectures for the purposes of noting down the repeated concepts, because those that are repeated concepts are those things that are most likely going to be in the next exam. And the extra things. So for example, you may get it, you may read about it in the readings, but in the lecture they may add a case example or even like a real, like any sort of example that helps you understand the concepts much better. And lectures are also a way to consolidate all the information that you're learning in the readings. And after you do your readings, you do your classes. So again, the class notes are mainly noting down the repeated concept. Again, the extra things, so like any examples that they mention, whether they're a case law or not. For example, they explain a certain principle and they use like a certain analogy that helps you understand that principle much better. You know, it's not a case law. To help you understand how the principle works, it's worth noting it down for when you do your exam revision.